So hi, Link Noise Podcast. I'm Shane.
I'm Glory.
Throwback Thursday, recorded on a Thursday, posted on a Monday, throwing it back on a Monday.
We're still throwing it back, guys. Well, me personally, I will not be participating, but allegedly other people are.
I'm throwing it back on TikTok now, not on Twitter anymore. I'm throwing it back on TikTok. You can follow us on TikTok, and I'll be throwing it back on there.
If you want to see Shane throw it back,
yeah.
check out our TikTok. Yeah.
That's where the good stuff goes on TikTok.
Jesus, dude, don't do that.
I'm throwing it back. Remember when I was fat whipping before we knew what to do with the TikTok?
Yeah.
Now I'll just start throwing it back.
You know what, man?
Throwing it back to the fat whips.
Yeah. Throwing it back with I don't give a fuck anymore. I don't know. I lost it. I had an idea. I had a string of words that would have been fucking poetry.
Yeah.
And I lost it, and I gave up. I'm sorry.
Hashtag throwing it back on a Throwback Thursday, but we're posting on a Monday. Get that trending.
That's all I needed.
That's TikTok.
All I fucking needed. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Today we're chatting about Bring Me the Horizon and their 2015 album. That's the Spirit. We are going through the discography. We're getting towards the end here because their most recent record, Post-Human Next Gen, we actually already spoke about last year when it came out. So we'll not be covering that one again because there's a review that already exists on the channel. Our thoughts have not changed that much. So we're just going to leave it as is.
Album good album, pop. Catchy record.
Yep, there you go. That's our thoughts in a nutshell. But we're chatting about the rest of the albums, and we've spoke about everything previous. That's the Spirit already. Everything is linked down below. But yeah, as we've been saying, kind of throughout this entire series, Bring Me the Horizon is a band that consistently evolves. They don't do the same thing twice.
Nope.
They will evolve, and parts of the last record will make their way onto the next album, but it is never just the same sound done again. There's always an evolution within that sound. The first big evolution was going from deathcore to metalcore, and now we're kind of at the second evolution of metalcore to pop infused metal sometimes.
Yeah.
This is the one, like, deathcore to metalcore made sense because Count Your Blessings to Suicide Season, like Suicide Season had deathcore elements but also had metalcore tracks. Sempiternal and this album, there is no bridge record. It is too, like, we're out of left field again.
Yeah, it's so. I'm gonna let you continue before I get into my own thoughts, because once I start, I'm not gonna be able to stop. So you keep going.
All right. I mean, I think that the album is solid. As I've said in the past, I'm the one that gotten to Bring Me the Horizon in 2020. So I spent a lot of time with this album. For me personally, when I'm sitting down to listen to Bring Me the Horizon, this is not the record I go for. If anything, like, there's a Happy song comes on Spotify radio a lot, and it's just like I'm never really in the mood for it. Like, that's kind of current day. That's kind of where I'm at with this record. I have to be in a certain mood to listen to it because I've spent so much time with it initially that I'm like, yeah, the album's fine, but it is what it is. But looking at it from an objective perspective of reviewing the record and not just giving my personal thoughts of, yeah, well, I don't listen to this album anymore, I listen to other things. I like it. I think it's solid. It's definitely a step in a different direction with the band. But I think, we talk about the bridge albums. Yes, sempiternal to this, there's nothing. It's just like they just decided to do something different, and that's fine because Bring Me the Horizon does that. But I think it's a nice bridge to the next record we're going to chat about, which is Ammo, because that record, gets even weirder, and but that album wouldn't exist without this record. But my thoughts on this one: incredibly solid. I love the way it opens with Doomed. I think it's a fantastic opener. I also really like Oh No as a closer. It's like it's got that big moment at the end. Like, it starts out a little bit slower but builds up very quickly and isn't like this slow like fade out. It's this big build up into the end. I really dig it. I actually got a newfound appreciation for it while going through to kind of gather my thoughts for the review. Happy Song, one of the Bring Me the Horizon songs. I love the continuation of including the album titles in the songs. It continues this theme that we've seen throughout their entire discography of big anthemic choruses, big anthemic parts in songs that maybe aren't even choruses, lots of call and response kinds of things. This song, as well as so many songs on this record, but this song is like the main one, spelling out spirit. Love that. I've always enjoyed that part of the song. And it's one of those songs where, like, I read the title and I skip it because I expect it to be one thing, but it is, ironically called Happy Song, but one of the heavier ones on the album. And I always forget that. It's kind of like, not to call back to My Chemical Romance, but like Hang 'Em High, I always think is going to be a country song because of the first 10 seconds, and I skip it every time. That's kind of where I'm at with this song. I love True Friends, Avalanche, Run, Drown. Like, Avalanche, Run, Drown as a 3-track run is fucking phenomenal. This album, as I've said, is incredibly solid. But, for me, it's not exactly what I'm looking for when I come to Bring Me the Horizon. There's plenty of fantastic songs on here. It was a massive album for them. There are songs on here that are still played live today, and I definitely have an appreciation for this album. But for me personally, this is not the one that I'm going to come to in the discography. Really, honestly, probably anything else. And it's no offense to this album because it's a phenomenal record. There's just something about it that I've always kind of felt is missing. Like, they're playing with pop, they're playing with metal, they're playing with infusing those two things, but it feels like, for me, the mark is kind of missed throughout the entire album.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. Fuck, there's so much and also so little to say about this record. It's crazy because I have been such a massive fan um of the rest of their discography, everything from here and back. I looked at the reviews I talked about for 10 minutes straight, and it was a lot of positives. I mean, I had, nitpicks here and there, but this one, it's so strange because all their other stuff has been heavier, and I notoriously lean more towards poppier stuff, catchier stuff for just music in general, because it's easier to digest. It's a lot more commercial. It's something I can grab onto easily. If it has a catchy chorus and it's, pop based, sign me the fuck up because I get it.
Yeah.
The thing is, with Bring Me the Horizon, I've really so far enjoyed hearing Ollie talk about his more inner demons and kind of like fighting that, and how he's been able to express his struggles, his strengths, his triumphs, all that stuff in their last couple records. But this album, like, completely, it feels like it wasn't even written by him. It feels like he's just singing it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, lyrically, it touches on, depression. I think in a couple of interviews that I read, in all of the interviews, it's what he fucking said. It was the theme of the record was it's the celebration of depression, which you can understand it, where it's just like, it's not something to be ashamed of if you're depressed, or, hide it, or, not talk to anyone about. So I completely get that. But at the same time, it's like, I feel like maybe also because it's such a already talked about subject for albums, depression, mental health, it's kind of hard to make an entire record about just kind of general depression. Everyone's depressed, instead of here are some things I went through when I was depressed. There's no personality, is what I'm trying to say. There's no, these are his thoughts and experiences and feelings, instead of here's all of our thoughts and experience and feelings. It's very broad.
Yeah,
it's very general.
They're going for that, like, general sense of, like, everybody's going to get this, but it kind of lands flat because what we want is to try to relate to what Ollie himself is saying. Yeah, not just what he thinks everyone in general is feeling.
Exactly. It feels watered down, which fucking sucks because you came off of such one of their biggest fucking records ever, Sempiternal, which is littered with so many strong, heavy tracks, just emotionally, lyrically, that are, I mean, riding off of his struggles with drug addiction. So it's very clearly a personal, hard to read record. If you're reading the lyrics, it's like, oh fuck, that's real. That's something he fucking went through, and that's shitty. Where this one, it's just so broad and generalized, and it's just kind of like, well, fuck, man, I can't. There's no personality here, in my opinion. So that's my first issue with this record. Overall, I think the record is good. I think it's good. I give it like a 5 out of 10. You know,
Yeah.
it's if I had to fucking it's good. It's easy to listen to. It's a good kind of I would say this is a great introduction record for Bring Me the Horizon. You know, I said that for Sempiternal, but honestly, because this is purposefully, I think it was purposefully. I could be misquoting an interview. But they said they wanted to do poppier stuff. They said they wanted it to be easy, more accessible. So purposefully more commercial record coming off of Sempiternal. I feel like would be a great introduction. Um, but it's also I feel like they would be leading you on in a way because this isn't Bring Me the Horizon. This is not them lyrically. This isn't them fucking sonically either. But I mean, Bring Me the Horizon is such a vast, like, sonic variety fucking they do a lot of fucking sounds there's a lot going on there with them always. Something I do see that flips over that has been a consistent two things that have been very consistent in kind of their sound and their influences has been orchestra, you know, strings, horns. They even have some horns on this record, which I thought was fucking awesome. And then also the techno influence. I feel like, again, it is Jordan Fish who is really pushing the techno thing. And I think this is their first record where it is produced by Jordan Fish and it is co-produced by Ollie, I think. I know for a fact his hands were all in this. And now I can understand why people in their reviews were saying this is fucking before Jordan Fish turned Bring Me the Horizon into fucking ridiculous pop bullshit, which still think is a little harsh. Because you know everyone has their albums, and this is just one of them. It's good. Just to go back to that, I like a lot of the tracks on here, solely because of how catchy they are. There isn't really anything new on here that makes me go, oh wow, this is revolutionary. This is damn, they're changing the game with this one because it's very Brit pop, it's very Brit pop rock. Um, there's barely any screaming on here, and even when he does scream, it like gets cut off, which I mean is cool to listen to if this is your first introduction because you're like, ooh, wow, it's almost like he's teasing the scream. But it's like when you have been spoiled for the last four records with Ollie Sykes fucking scream his cries. I mean, it's just like, damn, why the fuck you holding back?
Yeah.
You know, it's you're missing it. Again, it's just so fucking it's so shallow. It's such a just not them record, which is so fucking weird. They spent this is the longest amount of time they've spent on a record, at least in the time that it was being released. I don't know if they spent longer on records past this, but they spent 6 months every single day for 6 months working on this record. And I think that says a lot and that shows a lot in how the record came out. It is very shiny, it's very polished. It is I feel like it's that kind of thing where you tweak a good thing so many times it loses its spark.
Yeah.
And we've spoken to so many bands and artists who the first one coming to mind is Eric Bass, who said, you know, it's just artists have a way of just seeing something good and going, oh, this is perfect. But that one thing could
Yeah, but I
change.
could keep tweaking it.
I
Yeah.
could keep tweaking it. And it feels like because they had this record to themselves for 6 months straight, they lost it.
Mhm.
They lost the string. And that fucking sucks because damn, there's some good tracks on here. It's just lyrically and conceptually it just falls flat. Happy Song, I understand why it's one of their biggest songs ever. It has something that a lot of my favorite songs from this era have, where it's kind of the cheerleader, you know, girl backing voice of chanting something. The songs that I could hear its influence from. Don't know if it's on purpose or not. Falling in Reverse has a song Bad Girls Club, where it is chanting, and
Hmm.
it's that I'm pretty sure it's either the bridge or the chorus. I don't know. It's somewhere in the middle of the song.
Yeah.
Where they could have taken that influence. And then from Happy Song, you move on to 2017, which is fuck, I just had it up. The Scene, Electric Callboy featuring Franzilla. It's another one where it is chanting. They're spelling out, THESCENE. Fucking crazy song. I love that song so much. I've had it on repeat so many times. But you could hear the influence and you can kind of hear it all trickle down, even up until 2024 of Alpha Wolf, where they have fucking Not Bring Back the Noise. It's on that record. Nope, it's not even the record. Fuck. Oh, it's the one featuring Ice-T.
Sucks to suck.
Sucks to suck. So mad for what? It's like so you can kind of see how the scene has attached themselves to a couple things. Like they all hear that and they go, "That's good. We can all move forward with that." So I think Happy Song definitely fits into those categories. And whether or not fucking Alpha Wolf was inspired by Bring Me the Horizon or fucking Electric Callboy or fucking Falling in Reverse, that theme is there, and I think that's great, and that's why I really like that song a lot. I think Throne is cool, but again, conceptually, it fucking falls flat because it's kind of just like you haters are gonna tear me down and I'm not gonna let it happen. And it's just like, you really? We're getting one of those songs this late into your career? I don't know. It's kind of fucking. That feels like the first two records where you're kind of like, nah, nah, boop. It's like, y'all are grown ass men. You guys can write about fucking something else.
Oh, come on.
Um,
Architects just did it several albums into their career, being like, you want a heavy song? Here's one for you. We're heavy now, and we're going to tell you that.
yeah, we're gonna tell you.
And I
but it's
love
like,
that fucking song, by the way.
and it's a great song, but it's just like on this record.
Mhm.
Again, I feel like if you're trying to be like, fuck the haters. Me personally, I would prefer it delivered on a heavier track because then it's kind of. But then again, is it more of a fuck the haters if you're doing something that the people would hate?
Mhm.
So it's just there are two sides to it. I can see both arguments, but it's just like I think it's a cool song, but lyrically it falls flat. I love how it sounds though. It sounds fucking incredible. I think it's catchy, awesome. Honestly, I think the middle of the record, it just feels like filler. The whole record feels like filler to me. God, it fucking sucks. I'm shitting on this so bad. I did enjoy it, but it's just compared to all their other albums. Fuck, dude. You can't hold this next to any of even their first record, and he was just angry on that one. But this one, that was what I felt was true emotion
Mhm.
and him actually expressing himself, where this one, it just feels very vague
Mhm.
and very anyone can do anything with this instead of I'm opening up personally and sharing my experiences. And if you fucking relate, that's your connection. If you just like it, that's your connection. But where this one is just your aim, they, all of them, don't want to just say Ollie, they were just aiming to connect with as many people as possible, which, strategically, fucking business move is probably the best choice considering they're coming off their biggest high. But it's also just like, really? Pop?
Yeah.
That's where we're going? There's no fucking metal influence. There's barely any metal influence on here. And I think that's what's also pissing me off because Sempiternal was so fucking good. House of Wolves, the House of Wolves. Are you kidding me? And then, uh, where? We lost it. We lost it so bad. That's my review.
Gotcha. Yeah, I do want to call back to what you said about like, the commercial ability of the record. You kind of touched on a little bit, but it is like, Sempiternal was such a massive record for them at the time, still is. And it's kind of like, with this record, it makes sense why they took the approach they did, both sonically as well as lyrically, because it's like, how do you, especially at the time when Sempiternal came out, there was kind of like a ceiling on what you could do in the scene. So it's like, what do you do to blast through that? Are you content being a predominant band in the scene and that's it? Or do you want to chase full-blown
stardom.
mainstream stardom. And they obviously chose going for it, and it clearly has worked out for them. They're fucking huge. Yeah, they're doing all right for themselves, while also now being able to be the band's, a heavy band again that still is, has pop influences, but it blends together better. I said that, this album, exists for Amo, but it really exists for everything post their discography. Like, Next Gen is like this on fucking steroids.
It's this, but fucking heavy.
Yes,
that's literally
so it is kind of that case of like, it was a decision that had to be made, and it makes a ton of sense, especially talking through it, why that decision was ultimately made. And no disrespect to them or anything like that. I think the album is good, and for what it is. But at the end of the day, I think you and I both agree it does fall flat when we're sitting here week by week comparing every single release to the previous ones that we've heard. So yeah, those are our thoughts on Bring the Horizons 2015 album. That's the spirit. As I said, we're chatting about all of them. We got a couple more albums to go, so you can follow or you can subscribe to us here on YouTube. It helps us out a ton. This is where we post the reviews. They're only on YouTube. We're starting to get towards the end here. So if you got suggestions of anyone else, any other bands you'd like to see us, we only got a couple weeks left here with Bring Me. But if you got suggestions, any other bands you want to see us dive into, we are all ears. Other than that, you can follow us on Twitter. It's Good Noise _cast. Instagram's Good Noise Podcast. Facebook is Good Noise Pod. TikTok is Good Noise Podcast. All your streaming services are Good Noise Podcast. And Patreon is patreon.com/Good Noise Podcast. I have been Shane.
I have been Glory.
And we have been the Good Noise Podcast. See you next week. Bye.
Bye.